Good morning. I'm Renee Chenault-Fatah for NBC10 at Issue. Smokers in Philadelphia are now paying $2 a pack more for their cigarettes. It's a tax intended to fill a critical budget gap for the city school district. But will it really help? As NBC10's George Spencer tells us, the tax was never meant to be a permanent fix. Even so, it may not bring in the dollars the schools need.
At mom-and-pop shops like Roxborough News, cigarette sales are a critical business, and now these price signs may need to change, accommodating the additional $2 a pack tax that has city smokers fuming.
I will have to go outside of the city lines and buy some cigarettes, and that's ridiculous also.
To raise it $2 a pack is crazy.
This fiscal year, the new tax should rake in $49 million essential dollars for city schools, preventing 1,000 new layoffs, further crippling the district. But many popular cigarette brands will easily cost $8 or $9 a pack.
This was absolutely necessary for right now.
City Controller Alan Butkovich acknowledges the need for a stopgap, but his office's new figures show city revenue from existing tobacco taxes was at $628,000 in 2012. It went up in 2013, and now most recently, it's down 11% to $649,000. All that fluctuation before this new wild card of simply crossing out of city limits to purchase.
It is generally recognized this is a Band-Aid to deal with the current emergency.
What's more, CPA Kevin Ryan says the city that's now charging smokers more has never been especially effective at collecting other so-called sin taxes like its liquor tax.
I think that there are going to be different types of businesses collecting these taxes, so I'd like to think compliance is going to be better.
Now, although collection has improved since 2009, the city has not collected about $8,205,000 from the liquor by the drink tax. That's according to the city controller's office. But it's a small amount compared to what they have collected, more than $243 million. And joining me now is Kevin Ryan. Kevin is a partner at Citrin Cooperman, an accounting firm in Center City. Kevin works with public and charter schools in the area, helping them manage their finances. Kevin, good to have you here. Now, before we get to the cigarette tax, something we haven't talked about is this 1% sales tax.
Sales tax, yes.
Explain that, please.
Well, that was enacted 5 years ago to, again, help the school district. Its focus is solely for the school district, and it was a 5-year tax that was come due June 30th. It's now been implemented, so commencing July 1st, it started again. So that was one of the taxes. And then 20 years ago, there was a liquor tax that was enacted to help the school district. So now with the cigarette tax, there are three different types of taxes.
Three different taxes. What is your complaint? What is your concern about these taxes, Kevin?
Well, it's not a complaint per se. I think it's something that's necessary. I don't know that it's a panacea, though. This is going to be a short-term fix that actually may have some unintended consequences also.
Talk to me a little bit about that.
So if you have some businesses that are close to the border of Philadelphia, as mentioned earlier in the show, they're going to gain some business by being outside the city because city residents
are just going to cross the border.
Correct. And then vice versa, businesses that are inside the city will lose business just because of their address. So it's not just a cigarette tax issue, it's a Philadelphia tax issue because now you're not going to be paying business privilege taxes as high because you have less revenue. So it has ramifications
for our businesses.
Yes.
Is the city equipped to collect these taxes?
I think depending upon who you ask, you'd probably receive different responses. I do think that additional resources are needed to help collect the tax, to make it a level playing field for the different businesses that collect the tax. But I believe with the cigarette tax, you're going to have businesses that are more sophisticated, the Wawas, the chain drugstores, supermarkets that are going to have better controls, better records. I think they're going to be much better equipped to delineate the taxes that are withheld and then remit them.
So you think that then because of this, they will have better success than what they had with collecting on liquor taxes? Is that what I'm hearing you say?
I think so, yes.
Because clearly there has not been the collection there that one would have of hope.
Yeah, and I don't think it's just solely liquor taxes. It's many different taxes. As times get tough, and they've been tough through the years, businesses just don't have, whether they collect the tax or not, that doesn't mean that they have necessarily had that money in the bank at the end of the month to pay the tax.
Well, given that, do you think that the city will be able to collect, we said there's some $8 million in the liquor tax that's
you know, I guess the city controller would be best equipped to answer that, but I think that this tax now brings with it some more publicity about the fact that taxes are needed, and hopefully the business owners will understand that they have to have good records and remit these taxes because it's going to help the youth get educated.
You know, Kevin, normally when you talk about taxes, you say rather than taxing, let's just sort of trim the budget, let's cut back. But when we're talking about our schools, clearly we've cut back about as far as you can cut back. What is the solution here? What do you see as the answer? Because this is seen as a short-term solution, the cigarette tax, even with the pros and cons involved.
Agreed. And these are three different taxes that weren't anticipated to be long-term, and they've certainly become long-term. It certainly seems as though a structural change has to be made to the school district finances because it's just not working. Even though this will help bridge the budget gap, I don't think that it's a nirvana when if you were to ask the SRC or the superintendent if this is enough money. This is just to get them back to where they were with all these cuts. And the cuts weren't looked at favorably, just had to be done.
You know, again, it's a way to come up with some money to deal, it's a short-term solution, but the negative to this, you hear talk of it creating sort of a black market, and I'm talking now specifically about cigarettes. I know you've looked at this issue a little bit. Talk to us about this.
Well, New York is a prime example. I think that the taxes up there on a pack of cigarettes are $5.45. So it's an enormous amount of money, and what it has created is a real black market up there where individuals are selling loosies, they call it, loose cigarettes on the corner. So they're going outside of New York to purchase cigarettes where the amount of tax is the least, and then they're selling them, and my guess is that they're not reporting that income. So not only are the taxes not being paid when you purchase the cigarettes, the resale is not being, the tax on that is not being paid either. So it's creating problems.
You mentioned New York. Do we know how other states have done in terms of when they've implemented a cigarette tax like this, whether or not they've been able to collect the revenues that were projected?
I don't know specifically regarding cigarette taxes, but the border bleed is certainly when various taxes have been enacted in different municipalities. There is certainly a change in business. The ones outside the border are jumping up and down because they love the fact that they're getting new customers, and the ones inside are not enamored with the enactment of the tax.
One person's loss is another person's gain.
Right.
Kevin Ryan, I really appreciate you coming in and talking to us about this subject. It's going to be very interesting to see how this all unfolds.
Thank you, Renee.
Thanks again.